Now, I would be worried this thing's gonna bust through that glass. It's gonna be cold. You gotta pick up the glass. Who knows how long it's gonna be to get another giant sheet of glass like that.
Or an animal come down here for a bit of a drink. So you just stick your hands in there. You missed it. You get the idea. That's what makes them so dangerous. They don't need the hype of chasing keepers around and that. That's scary enough as it is. That's exactly what a wild one would do here.
Lived on the high desert of northern Arizona for thousands of years. This barren but beautiful landscape was the place where Hopi gods directed them to build a number of villages made up of pueblos, what we today would call stone apartment complexes. Here the Hopi managed to flourish by simply growing corn, beans, and squash with very little rainfall and almost no irrigation. One of the most intriguing Hopi legends involves the Ant people, who were crucial to the survival of the Hopi, not just once, but twice. The so-called First World, or World Age, was apparently destroyed by fire, possibly some sort of volcanism, asteroid strike, or coronal mass ejection from the sun. The Second World was destroyed by ice age glaciers, or a pole shift. During these two global cataclysms, the virtuous members of the Hopi tribe were guided by an odd-shaped cloud during the day and a moving star at night that led them to the sky god named Sotuknang, who finally took them to the Ant people, in Hopi, Anusinum. The Ant people then escorted the Hopi into subterranean caves, where they found refuge and sustenance.
Because the NAS also, he can send you Netflix. That's not something hard now. We make apps where we can cast into your TV. You think the TV is easier or your head? Your head. Because the TV has all sorts of encryption. Your head has no encryption. If you don't have the right remote, you can't get into one TV because the corporations have blocked their codes. But the head of a human has no encryption. They're now going to start casting software into the minds of people. The heart has encryption. You can't cast into the heart. Right? Because heart is the house of God if you keep it the house of God. If your head is not controlled, oh, it can be what's the crazy farm at the circus? Like the house of mirrors? Any devil starts to go into there and you're left and right all over the place. Become house of horrors. Why? There's no encryption on the head. They even now have technology, they want to start casting into the head. Because of the massive amount of computing power that's necessary. The generations of phones are coming out. What do you do when you have so much computing power and this thing is heating up? So they're not figuring out, how do we put a device that doesn't heat up? Because we need so much capacity, so much advancement in softwares. So what are they coming out with? Neurotransmission and neural links. Why? Because Allah's creation is perfected. They want to take those algorithms, those computations, and compute them in your head. And they know the head has no encryption. But can they send that to the heart? No, they don't talk about the heart because the heart is encrypted. You can't enter into the heart. Shaitan tries to make the heart to be darkened because he can't enter into it. But all of this is then about energy.
How would I control the planet? How would I go about it using some of the esoteric principles that we've been talking about? Now, my purpose in this video is to deliver an awareness, because once you see it, you can't unsee it. And once you have an understanding of what's been done, you have the ability to undo it. How would I do it? Through colors and sounds. Now, what show has done a great job of using colors and sounds to create realities? The Simpsons.
There's this thing called stochastic parroting. If you haven't heard of it, you need to know about it. Stochastic parroting is what artificial intelligence does by default. It is when you speak to it, it mirrors back. It mirrors back everything. So people don't understand what that really means, and I didn't understand what it really means until I sat down with my friend Josh Smith and he walked me through it. When it mirrors you back, it's mirroring back, for instance, if you talk to it therapeutically, It's mirroring back the errors. If you're a magical thinker, it will mirror back those errors. If you're a very reasoned thinker, it will mirror back the reasoning. It is a mirror. It builds momentum. And then you snap. Because you ruminate in your own head on your own ideas.
Hey, some people.
Good luck.
Water is a fundamental part of life on Earth, but here's a fascinating fact. Scientists believe that much of the water on our planet is older than the sun itself. Yeah, you heard that right. Older than the very star at the center of our solar system. Research suggests that water in the form of ice originated in interstellar space long before the sun and planets formed. It likely came from the Solar Nebula in its massive cloud of gas and dust that eventually coalesced to form our solar system. This ice carried in ancient molecules dating back billions of years, which eventually became part of Earth's oceans and other water systems. This doesn't mean Earth itself is older than the sun, but rather that the ingredients making up its water existed long before our solar system took shape. There are cultures that believe that our solar system once inhabited a superior race until a cataclysmic event wiped them out and restarted life as we know it, with humans being the superior race. If we're to believe this, those cultures are not entirely wrong. Disney has long been a hotbed for conspiracy theories, and some of them One of the most discussed topics involves Mickey Mouse himself. When the iconic Mickey Mouse silhouette is turned upside down, it spells the word wicked. This has led people to question whether there was a hidden message in Disney's designs. Then there's the Walt Disney signature. The way the letters W, D, and Y are styled bears a resemblance to the number 6, but together some interpret this as a covert reference to 666. Are these subliminal messages deliberately placed to hint at secret affiliations, or are they just coincidences blown out of proportion? This fish was spotted in Albania after a heavy snowstorm when the ground was all iced up. Despite the freezing conditions, the fish was very much alive but not frozen to death. What makes this sight even more bizarre was that the fish was upright, standing on its pelvic fin. Now, I don't know what's going on here, but the person who took this footage insists that the fish... Seeing a fish moving around on land, especially in such cold weather, raises a lot of questions. How could it survive the icy conditions, and how was it able to move? Fish are aquatic creatures, not designed to walk on land, especially on their fins. Experts and curious onlookers have been scratching their heads over this a real-life UFO. There was no context to it, but it looks very real. Take a look. There is this very large craft, disc-shaped. The disc shape is classic, reminiscent of many UFO sightings reported over the years. The lack of context makes it even more intriguing. Where was this filmed? Who captured it? Well, we don't have answers, but under the comments of the original post, someone had this to say. We're not exactly sure where he got this information from, but there can only be two things involved here. Either he's trolling us so bad, or he's actually onto something. Next up, we've got supposed alien footage from Long Island, New York. In the footage, we see a strange entity walking by, holding something in his hand. Human. It features an eerie, alien-like, large, elongated head with what looks like big black eyes, fitting the total description of an alien. In its hands is a glowing object. There are plenty of stories about alien abductions. Others speculate that this... We all know how much he is against all the alien and mystical talk, so... Surprise is here.
No, no se acerquen, se está mirando. Ay, Dios mío.
A hunched humanoid figure perched on the edge of a terracotta rooftop. Skin glistens under the streetlights, scaly and taut like a frog's, but its limbs are too long. It turns its head, just for a second, and the eyes flash, reflective like an animal's. Look at the way it moves. Not like a person, not like any animal we know. People in the comments are calling it a reptilian. Others say it's some kind of hybrid. But here's the real question. What is it doing there? Parecía una rana, pero con cara de hombre. It looked like a frog, with a man's face. It wasn't human. It watched us. Now, some say this is CGI. Others swear it's proof that aliens are already here, hidden in plain sight. And if this is real, how many more are out there?
En el techo. No, no se acerquen, se está mirando.
We're never running out of water. That's the biggest myth we've ever been sold, because there's unlimited water underneath our feet. And it's interesting. People can just go to Google and type in ocean under the ocean. How is that even possible in the first place? How do we run out of that water? We have an ocean underneath the ocean. 1950s is a perfect example. You have Lake Elsinore, and people are freaking out that Lake Elsinore is going dry. But anyways, the dowser comes out, and he douses the land. And he says, based on my dousing, you should drill right here. There's a water vein that's spiraling, and you can get the water that you need to fill the lake. They douse right there. All you had to do was tap into the water that's underneath us. They plug in, they get the water, they refill Lake Elsinore. The lake has been filled up since.
Today's Walmart. Let's see what they got inside. It's the same layout, but then everything is labeled in Chinese. A bottle that's about $2 US. This might be bigger than American Walmarts. However, what you don't usually see is chicken feet for $2. Yeah, look at that. 1.2 kg of bananas, 84 cents. 900 grams of tomatoes, $1.30. You can get a whole chicken with the head for $1.70. Brother. To be honest, I don't even know what this is. You just get stacks of... Here's a good test. A can of Coke is $2.70. That's about 38 cents. 2 liters of Coke, 92 cents. All of this bacon, $2.80. We've even got a 75-inch TV for around $700. A double-door refrigerator for $690. A washing machine for $130. In China. I don't know if this is a good deal or not, but that's $10 for 66 Pampers. Okay, we found eggs. We have 30 eggs for $3.26. Wild. You put nothing in except your goddamn bottle. And that is what Walmart was like in China.
Is and has been the subject of an extensive, massive, a very thorough and detailed study by several extraterrestrial civilizations. These civilizations have demonstrated an extremely advanced technology, possibly hundreds or even thousands of years. There seems to be a process or a plan of some kind unfolding. The studies indicated and demonstrated that a development of some kind of program was underway. Evidence collected indicated that the program has been going on for a very long time, possibly hundreds or even thousands of years. And some of my associates, research fellows, and I have concluded it's probably been going on longer than that. The study concluded that there did not appear to be a major military threat involved in 1964. That if they, whoever they are, were malevolent or hostile, there was absolutely nothing we could do, because the level of technology that had been demonstrated was so far beyond anything we had in 1964 that we felt that if they were hostile or malevolent, the game was up. It was all over with.
They claim all civilizations and all these tablets, this information was brought to us from beings that came from heaven to earth. In Africa, they called them the Nitiru, the beings in the time of Zep Tepi that turned mud into a kingdom. In the Sumerian tablets, Enuma Elish and Epic of Atrahasis, they talk about these gods, the Anunnaki or the Anuna, the gods that came from heaven to earth, right, and built this advanced civilization. The Hopi and the Lakota, they call them the Star Brothers, right? No matter where you go on the planet, Dogon tribe, they call them the Nomo. In Australia, they call them the Pleiadians. No matter where you go, they all say the same thing, that people from another place came here and brought this wisdom and knowledge and imparted it on us, and they also say that they were seated on this planet. The indigenous tribes of the Americas, the Australian Aboriginals, I mean, they're saying that they were literally brought here. How can these disconnected continents and these disconnected cultures all have similar stories written across different mega eons of time?
How to break open the truth that we're not alone, we never have been, we're seated, life on Earth is seated, and that our government is actively interacting with the seeders as well as the enemy.
That's a question that's been trying to, our box has been trying to be open for years. And I agree with you, it needs to be open. The truth needs to be out.
Why is it so difficult just to tell this truth?
I'm not sure. I'm really not.
So what do you think is holding the thread at bay?
I think it's the ones that were here from the beginning. I think that's the only thing that's holding them back at this point.
What do you think this earth means to them?
I'm not really sure. I'm not really sure.
Are we a laboratory?
I kind of got an understanding from some of it that those people, that race that seeded us, have not just come here but gone to other worlds and protected them from the same people, the same bad race that want to kill us. And that's kind of what they're doing, is they're staying out ahead of the galaxy, ahead of this race that wants us dead. And this race is coming back, or is back, or something to that nature. And I think that, from my understanding, there's one species that are trying to keep us from suffering the same thing they did. They had to leave the world and go somewhere else because
Do
the
you
world was
believe
destroyed.
that a higher form of non-human intelligence has been visiting this planet?
Yes, I do.
Do you feel like you believe that is true, or do you feel like you know that is true?
I know that it's true.
And when this happens, can you explain how it usually manifests or how you experience it?
It usually manifests as something anomalous in the sky, orbs, crafts, different pyramid-looking objects moving at extreme rates of speed and doing very angular movements.
How many times do you feel like you've been able to summon something in the sky?
Anytime I want.
Look, there's two. Look at this, look at this, look right here. Look at this one going down and this one going up.
Left to right in the sky, west to east, and then go
And then
again
you have
vertical.
Dick Berber, who was a part of the government as well, and he says you're either born with this gift or you have to practice to have this gift, right?
You're either born with the gift or you go through, you spend 30 years as a Shaolin monk and you figure out how to do it the hard way. There are either easier ways, there are cheats, and some of the cheats that have been experimented with are things that have not fared well for those involved in the program, including children, and I'll talk about them. So how do we heighten intuition? Well, you do it through stress inoculation. You do it through triggering flight or fight or flight biology systems in our body. Some of the most powerful things you can do.
Now that's crazy. And now, is that the thing that was gonna pull them in the water, y'all? Absolutely. I hope absolutely not. Nothing like that is in the ocean, but I wouldn't be surprised. I looked this clip right here up, and
the alien that was captured on the Ring camera in California. Now, if you haven't seen this video, it's the clearest video we've gotten so far of an extraterrestrial just wandering around on Earth. Now, this video has actually gotten so much traction that it's made it to mainstream news. Now, sometimes I don't believe the things mainstream news puts out there because, come on, it's mainstream news. They're meant to deceive you and point you in the direction that your government wants you to go in. But this video is quite amazing. Now, if you haven't seen it, I'm going to show it to you. But a Ring camera, a lady in California caught this on her Ring camera at 1 a.m. You can listen to the interaction back and forth with her and her child. I'm going to show you the video, but tell me what you think of this because this is pretty cool.
I'm literally going crazy, like I'm losing my mind. And I took the phone to my son, so I was like, can you check this for me? I was like, am I seeing things or is this? And he's like, Mom, it's an alien.
In that interview, she says then her son was like, it's an alien, call the cops. She's like, I'm not going to call the cops, they'll think I'm crazy. But this was captured on film, now check this angle. What do you think? Is this the first time you've seen this video? Because I will tell you this,
How about the,
more and more stuff is going to start showing up.
the drivers in the car?
We tried to tell you.
I'd like to talk to you today about some of the things that you can do with your consciousness. Some things that you may not know that you can do with your consciousness. You see, in this virtual reality, we are actually co-creators of this reality. And we co-create in many ways. One is just the way we interpret things. Something happens and we have an interpretation of what happens. Other people see the same thing and they have a different interpretation of what happens. That means everybody lives in their own personal reality based on our interpretation. So in that way, you create your own reality through interpretation. Another way you create your reality is by your interactions. For example, if you are a user of people, hard to get along with, mean-spirited, then what you create is a world where people will try to avoid you, where you won't be liked, you won't be invited, and you won't be welcome because you're not a nice person. And you create this reaction to yourself because of your choices, your actions. So that's another way you create your reality. And a third way you create your reality is the way this virtual reality works is that your intent modifies future probability. So what is likely to happen in the future, your intent can make it more likely or less likely.
Right now.
You have that ability to modify future probability. Now, one of the ways that this happens, all of us have heard of it, is called the placebo effect. If you tell somebody that they're taking a wonderful new medicine that will fix what's wrong with them, just by doing that and nothing else, just by telling them that and giving them a salt pill or a sugar pill or something that has no medicine in it whatsoever, will make a difference in their health. And many studies have looked at this. And if there's a control group in which you just didn't tell them anything, you just gave a pill and said, yeah, go swallow this and see what happens.
Yeah, I heard about that.
If that is the control group, then the people who have a very positive attitude, their health will be better than the control group. You see, it's called the placebo effect. You can look it up. It's a real effect. It's not just that those people who have the positive outlook think they're healthier and really aren't. They really are
Scriptures openly
healthier.
declare that you are God operating in human form. 2,000 years of conventional religious interpretation have convinced billions otherwise.
When Moses asked for the divine name, the answer was, I am. Exactly the same consciousness that you experience right now. Not symbolically, literally. Jesus stated, before Abraham was, I am, and I and the Father are one, revealing that you and the creative power of the universe are identical.
The very scriptures they read every Sunday scream the truth. The kingdom of heaven is within you. You don't need a connection with God because you are the divine consciousness itself pretending to be limited. That constant fear of failure you cultivate, it's shaping your future right now. Do you accept the feeling of scarcity as normal?
It's programming your bank account. You were trained from childhood to look for God outside, to pray to something external, to ask permission to exist fully.
But you need to understand the exact mechanism by which your feelings become your reality, because most will die without ever discovering that they always had the power to create any life they desired.